There will be moments in life when people will doubt you, misunderstand you, and even try to tear you down. They'll question your motives, your dreams, your actions, and in those moments, you'll feel that burning urge to defend yourself. But here's the truth: when you spend your time defending yourself, you lose the energy that was meant to build your future. You're not here to prove them wrong. You're here to prove yourself right. This is about reclaiming your power, protecting your peace, and focusing your energy where it truly matters. Every time you feel the need to defend yourself, you step away from the path of creation and enter a battle that doesn't serve your purpose. Think about how much time and energy people waste trying to explain why they did something, why they deserve something, why they believe in something. It's a trap that drains your power and shifts your focus from building to proving. You don't need to explain your dreams to anyone who can't see your vision. You don't need to justify your journey to those who never took the first step in theirs. The truth is, your energy belongs to creation, not explanation. There's something powerful about a person who knows what they want and doesn't stop to ask for permission. When you keep explaining yourself, it's like you're asking the world for approval, and that's a dangerous place to live. Approval is temporary, purpose is permanent. Every time you try to convince someone that your choices are valid, you're handing them the remote control to your confidence. You're saying, "I'll feel okay about what I'm doing if you agree." And the moment you do that, you've lost your center. You've given away control over your own direction. People will always have opinions, and most of them are shaped by their own fears and limitations. They'll tell you what can't be done because they never did it. They'll tell you to slow down because they never learned to speed up. And if you try to defend yourself against their small thinking, you'll start shrinking to fit their version of what's possible. That's why you must learn to keep your energy focused on what you're building, not on what others are questioning. The truth doesn't need defending, it just needs time. If what you're doing is real, if your purpose is solid, if your heart is aligned, it will speak for itself. You don't need to justify your goals to people who aren't willing to work for theirs. The world doesn't need your defense, it needs your demonstration. Let your results talk. Let your growth speak. Let your transformation be the loudest response to doubt. Because one thing you'll always notice is that the people doing less than you will criticize you the most, and the ones doing more will never stop to question your path. There's power in redirecting your energy. The same energy used to explain yourself could be used to create, improve, and execute. The person who learns to focus their energy like a laser, not diffusing it through arguments or explanations, becomes unstoppable. You don't need to fight every misunderstanding. You don't need to clarify every rumor. You don't need to win every conversation. You just need to keep building something undeniable. Every second you spend defending yourself is a second you're not investing in your next level. The people who rise to greatness have one thing in common: they don't stop to argue with doubters. They keep moving. They let time, results, and consistency do the talking. And eventually everyone who misunderstood them either disappears or joins the crowd applauding them. When you understand that your energy is your most valuable resource, you'll stop wasting it on the wrong things. Every argument, every explanation, every emotional reaction costs you focus. You only get so much mental bandwidth each day. Why give any of it to people who don't believe in you? Keep your mind clear. Keep your emotions steady. Keep your attention locked on your vision. Because the moment you start living for proof, you stop living for purpose. Life has a way of rewarding the discipline. When you focus on creation, your work, your goals, your habits, everything else aligns. People start noticing your consistency. Opportunities start flowing in. The very people who once questioned your direction will start asking for your advice. And that shift doesn't happen because you defended yourself. It happens because you stayed focused long enough for results to tell the story. Your life is your message. Every choice you make, every goal you chase, every challenge you overcome, that's the proof of who you are. You don't need to explain that. You just need to live it. When you truly grasp that your energy belongs to creation, you stop feeling guilty for not responding to every critic. You stop wasting words on people who aren't listening. You stop shrinking yourself to be understood. You rise above. So the next time someone questions you, don't defend yourself. Deliver results. Don't explain, execute. Don't argue, act. Let your consistency become your answer. Let your growth silence the noise. And when you do that, something incredible happens. The world stops doubting and starts watching. They may not understand you at first, but eventually They will respect the one thing no one can argue with: results. In a world where everyone feels the need to prove a point, silence has become one of the rarest and most powerful forms of strength. Most people believe that staying quiet means you've surrendered, that silence is weakness, or that it's an admission of guilt. But in reality, silence is mastery. It's the mark of someone who doesn't need to explain themselves, because they know exactly who they are and where they're going. When you stop defending yourself and start embracing silence, you move from reaction to control. You rise above the noise. You stop letting the opinions of others dictate your emotional state. Silence is not about ignoring people, it's about valuing your peace more than their approval. It's about realizing that every argument you engage in, every attempt to prove your worth, is a withdrawal from your emotional bank account. The more you argue with negativity, the more it drains you. But when you choose silence, you protect your energy. You stay centered. You become untouchable because no one can shake a mind that doesn't react. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. True power is calm, composed, and certain. When you remain silent in the face of criticism or misunderstanding, you give yourself the gift of observation. You begin to see things clearly. You start recognizing that most attacks aren't personal, they're projections. People criticize what they don't understand. They attack what they envy. They question what challenges their comfort zone. Once you realize this, you stop feeling the need to respond. You begin to understand that silence is not a sign of weakness. It's a declaration of inner strength. It says, I refuse to let your noise interrupt my peace. Silence also teaches emotional discipline. It keeps you from reacting impulsively, from saying things that don't serve you, from feeding fires that don't deserve your attention. The moment you start reacting to every word spoken about you, you give those words power. You give your critics control over your emotions. But when you choose silence, you take that control back. You tell yourself and the world that your focus is bigger than anyone's opinion. That kind of control is what separates the average from the extraordinary. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your purpose to waste time on distractions. It means you've reached a point where your self-worth isn't tied to how others see you. When you no longer need validation, you stop explaining. And when you stop explaining, you start expanding. You grow in peace, focus, and confidence. You begin to realize that your silence speaks louder than any defense ever could. People can argue with your words, but they can't argue with your energy. And a calm, confident, silent presence can disarm even the loudest critic. There will be moments when you'll be tempted to speak up, to prove your point, to correct the false things said about you. But every time you rise above that urge, you're training your mind for power. You're showing yourself that your peace matters more than your pride. You're reminding yourself that you're not here to win arguments. You're here to win in life. The truth doesn't need defending, it needs time. And in time, every misunderstanding fades, every false story collapses, and every critic runs out of words. What remains is the truth, unshaken, undeniable, and stronger than ever. When you live with silence as your strength, you start noticing how much lighter you feel. You stop carrying the weight of other people's judgments. You stop wasting your days thinking about how to make someone understand you. You simply live, and in doing so, your actions begin to speak volumes. People may doubt you at first, but consistency has a way of silencing doubt far better than words ever could. You don't need to tell people who you are. Your presence, your discipline, and your results will make it clear. Silence is also a sign of confidence. It says you trust yourself enough to let time do the talking. It means you're not rushed, not desperate, not seeking anyone's permission to keep going. The moment you realize that not everyone deserves a response, you free yourself from emotional chaos. You begin to live life on your own frequency. Steady, peaceful, focused, and powerful. That's when real growth happens. So the next time someone criticizes you, misjudges you, or tries to provoke you into defending yourself, take a breath and choose silence. Let your calmness be your response. Let your peace be your statement. Because when you stop explaining and start observing, you shift from weakness to wisdom. And when you can walk through noise with silence in your heart, you've mastered yourself. And that's a victory no one can take away from you. The truth has a way of proving itself through time, action, and consistency. You never have to defend yourself when you're truly walking in alignment with your purpose. Because real results speak louder than words ever can. The need to constantly explain or justify who you are comes from fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being rejected, fear of not being accepted. But the moment you let go of that fear and focus instead on your truth, something powerful happens. You begin to move differently. You stop chasing approval and start chasing excellence. You stop reacting to doubt and start producing evidence. And that evidence is your life, your growth, your resilience, your success, your transformation. When you truly live in your truth, you stop needing to convince anyone of anything. You simply become the proof. Every action, every effort, every step you take toward your vision builds a story that no one can deny. People may question you, but they can't argue with what you've built. They may gossip, but they can't erase your progress. That's the beauty of living from truth. It doesn't need defending, it only needs time to unfold. The people who once doubted you will eventually have to face the undeniable evidence of your results. Defending yourself takes energy, but demonstrating your truth through consistent action multiplies it. There's a deep power in quiet persistence, in showing up every day even when no one believes in you, in working when others sleep, in improving yourself when others complain. That's how you prove your truth. Not by arguing, not by explaining, but by doing. Action becomes your voice and progress becomes your defense. Every small victory becomes a piece of evidence that validates your vision. There's something magnetic about people who live in alignment with their truth. They don't waste time trying to be understood. They just keep moving. Their energy shifts from defense to direction. They're not trying to prove their worth. They're embodying it. When you move with that kind of confidence, you attract everything that belongs to your path. Opportunities begin to appear, people begin to notice, and life begins to open doors that used to stay shut. All because you stayed faithful to your purpose instead of fighting to be right. Every time you defend yourself, you're saying, I need you to see my value. But when you live your truth, your value becomes visible without words. You don't need to shout to be seen, you just need to stay consistent. Time has a way of revealing everything. The lies fade, the noise dies down, but results remain. The person who keeps showing up, who keeps growing, who keeps delivering, that person always wins in the end. Life respects action more than explanation. The truth is, people will always have opinions. Some will misunderstand you, some will doubt you, and some will even try to discredit you. That's human nature. But your responsibility is not to convince them. Your responsibility is to continue walking in your truth. Because while others are talking, you're building. While others are judging, you're growing. And while they're wasting their time debating, you're writing a story of transformation that will one day silence every critic without a single word. Think about this. No one ever had to defend success. Success is self-evident. You don't need to tell people you're doing great when your results already show it. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you keep doing the work, if you keep showing up, if you stay patient and persistent, your truth will eventually stand on its own. You don't have to fight for recognition. You just have to keep walking toward your vision until it becomes undeniable. This is the power of faith in action. It's the quiet belief that your effort is not wasted, even when no one sees it yet. It's trusting that your consistency will reveal the truth to everyone who once questioned you. When you live this way, you become unstoppable because you no longer operate from insecurity or ego. You operate from purpose. You don't react to every voice that doubts you because you're too busy creating something that will outlast them. Your truth doesn't need defense, it needs proof. And proof comes from persistence. The results you create through focused discipline. And belief will always speak louder than any argument. You don't need to shout about your integrity, your vision, or your potential. You just need to keep moving forward. The world will catch up. They always do. So stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop trying to make everyone see what only you can feel. Instead, dedicate every ounce of your energy to your mission. Keep walking your path with patience, with purpose, and with conviction. Let your work do the talking. Let your growth tell the story. Because in the end, the truth doesn't need to be spoken, it just needs to be lived. And when you live it fully, fearlessly, and consistently, nothing and no one can deny it.